The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our AI in Action series, where leading minds in AI from across the world share their story, success, and advice. AI in Action cuts through the hype and explores the true impact of artificial intelligence in our world today.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is Maher Hanafi. Maher is the VP of Engineering at January AI. Maher, welcome to the show.
Thank you, JP. Thank you so much.
So, Maher, let's start with yourself, please. Could you give a bit of background of your journey in technology from where you got started, some of the roles you've held along the way, and take us up to today as the VP of Eng at January AI?
My name is Maher Hanafi. I am Tunisian. I was born and grew up in Tunisia. I had a Bachelor of Engineering degree in networking and telecommunication. Mainly, I was working on signal processing and fiber optics and wireless communications. When I graduated, I was asking myself what kind of things I'm passionate about. And maybe one lesson I learned during my education is if you can match your passion and your job, your profession, that's the best. And at the time, I was really like a video gamer and addictive to video games. I played a lot of games from a very early age. I was spending a lot of time playing video games. So I was wondering, how can I turn that around and sit on the other side of the table and maybe think about how can I build games? So I decided to migrate to Canada to pursue a master's degree in electrical engineering. And during that time, I had the opportunity to work with Ubisoft, which is one of the video gaming companies in the space, working on technologies to track video gamers with no controllers, mainly by doing gestures in front of a camera, and then the avatar in the game will do exactly the same. And during that master's degree, I had I was teaching myself computer science and programming, and I was looking for what is required on the market to be a game developer, like a software engineering gaming industry. So I was looking at all these job descriptions, looking at everything they require and going through that and teaching myself these things like C++, OpenGL, image processing, 3D and graphics. And I was lucky enough that after that period of time, I also joined another video gaming company called Electronic Arts. And this time I was working on video games that I played 15, 20 years ago, like the FIFA soccer game, the Need for Speed, the franchise. And that was a dream, a child dream come true. Well, that was a proof of that following your passion and making your passion match your profession is the best rewarding experience you can ever have. I mean, after a couple of years working on video gaming, mobile became a thing. And I was also curious about mobile technology. And I was thinking maybe mobile will be the next boom in the software technologies. So kind of did the same thing, picked up Android and iOS very early in the day. I taught myself these two technologies, started building personal apps for myself. And long story short, in a few months, I would say, I ended up with a lot of apps, personal apps on the app stores, millions of downloads around the globe, making money out of that, which was also part of the equation. And that new passion turned also as part of my next job. So working for video games, mobile game became also very important. So all these video gaming companies started making games, and I happened to be someone who on the side was learning and picking up mobile. So I very quickly jumped on the mobile gaming industry, and then from there to just mobile apps. I worked for different other companies after that in Canada, and then I moved to the West, to the Silicon Valley, worked in different spaces like e-commerce. I worked for Rakuten, building their cashback mobile experience in the US. And then I joined Thrive Global, which is a well-being company founded by Ariana Huffington as a VP of engineering. I led the engineering team out there, started with mobile, web, and quality. And recently I joined January AI, which is a company operating in digital health. And my passion towards health in general was growing over time. I think I've worked in different spaces to well-being, and then well-being led me to digital health. My wife is also a physician, and over time I was having these conversations with her about research and science and medicine, and I was always wondering, how can technology help with these things? Looks like these challenges are becoming bigger, and the data that is available out there is huge. So if technology can drive some of the research in medicine and science, it would be great. And I think also the COVID-amic was a trigger for a lot of people to think about what is really important and how can we all help from our different professions to drive this field and to help humanity to survive.
Absolutely.
So finding ways to connect technology and science was my drive to join January and to lead the team there as a VP of engineering.
And thank you for that detailed background. It's great to hear how your journey has gone from early interest to having your own success as an entrepreneur within the app world, but now following a passion in a different area of using technology to help people, which leads nicely into what the mission is at January. So please tell us all about January AI, who you are as a business, what you guys are trying to do, and then we can talk about what role AI plays in helping you guys achieve that mission.
So January AI is a platform that uses what we call CGMs, continuous glucose monitors, which are mainly sensors that can measure your blood glucose, and also other wearable data that is coming from the recent technologies on wearable smartwatches and sensors, like heart rate, sleep data, wellness data. And we use all of that to be able to help people understand how their body is really working and reacting and affected by different things like food intake and also activity. So our main goal is really to spare people the unhappiness and even sometimes like trauma from finding out that they're either sick or it's too late. We're coming more with a proactive, predictive approach to health. And all this is mainly by increasing the knowledge of your own health and by collecting all this data that maybe was not available in the past, but now with the evolution of technology, we have access to this data. And if we can help people or we can prevent some of these issues that are rising over time, that's the goal of the company. On another hand, we also want to match and map all these information we collect from users, the food they are taking and the food they are consuming. We believe that food has a big impact on health in general, and especially in metabolic health. So January AI built up a big database and catalog of foods that are available, millions of foods. And obviously that's a huge database, and we couldn't do it without using the usage of AI and machine learning. So AI and machine learning is helping us go through that database, help people to find the food they are eating, work on completing and enriching this database with like predictive nutrients, micro and micronutrients. At the end of the day, I think January AI has its key unique value and value prop at this stage is it's a metabolic health company that maybe one of the unique that can predict people's reaction or like your glucose reaction to food before you even eat it. And for that, we use machine learning, but that requires training, obviously. So we build these models that we train over time with the users, and then we can tell you how your glucose will react to any different kind of food. So that's in a nutshell what we do at January AI today.
Maher, I know you've recently joined January AI yourself to take the role of VP of Engineering. What was it about the mission at January and the people that drew you to them as a company? And then give us some insight into your role as the VP of Eng, because it oversees every aspect of the engineering, not just the data engineering and machine learning. But it'd be great to learn about what your particular role involves and what drew you to the business.
Yeah, so my role as a VP of engineering is to lead all the engineering teams. And obviously, when you say engineering, it's like a full stack engineering company. We do have the back end, the front end, we do have data science, and we do have machine learning and AI. So I think the key responsibility of this role is to make all these teams work on the same pace, really being able to deliver and drive the realization of the goals of the company from a product standpoint. I think what drives me to this is first the mission of the company and what we're trying to achieve, turning things around or upside down from being reactive to sick health issues to be more proactive and predictive. And really helping people understand how their body works. And even myself, I was always wondering how things work in the body. And when you come from a software engineering background, usually you know how code works, the guts of the code pieces or the code base you're working on. But when it comes to the human body, it's completely different. And people react to different things, to the same thing in different ways. So it's very hard to be able to drive this from one single point of view. So technology is here to help science and medicine to be able to be on the predictive and proactive aspect of this. And the company uses a multi-omic approach, which is mainly having a holistic health view and healthcare process that ties everything together. And in this view, this approach collects data from different groups combined together to be able to analyze the data and to help people build strategies about their health. So we use genomics, which is mainly the genes. We use the protein, understanding the proteins and how the body works. We use the microbes and microbiomes. And there are obviously more other things that are more scientific than I can tell you, but where engineering comes into the game is collecting all this data using AI and machine learning to be able to do proper classification and prediction around it, and then help people at the same time, the healthcare providers or also the end users, to understand and have a proactive kind of visibility into health issues ahead of time. Some of the challenges that you face as a VP of engineering when you manage a team like this is, especially when it comes to AI and machine learning, is how you turn machine learning models and AI into products. Sometimes, research or academia, there is a lot of things that can happen in there. There's a lot of research. It might take time. There's a lot of optimization trainings that are involved. But to lead a team that is driving the release of a product in different versions and iterations, you need to make sure that process is predictable. So part of my job is to turn everything we know about machine learning modeling and research into a predictive process that can lead to iterations of the product at the end of the day.
You are listening to the Alldus podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.alldus.com.
Talk to us about the current team, particularly focused on the AI aspect of your group. So there's a combination of your data engineers, machine learning engineers, and data scientists. What's the culture like of the data team, and give us an idea of what it's like day to day?
Yes, we do have a data engineering team. We have a machine learning team, and we have, I think, what we call is like a machine learning operations team. And this is mainly the team that can operate on the machine learning models and make sure they are deployed and distributed as part of our software product in general. So as part of that, we have the scientific side of things. So there's a lot of research that is being done. We have our co-founder, Mike Snyder, is a Stanford head of genomics department. So we use a lot of research to drive the modeling and understanding what we are able to achieve with machine learning and AI based on the data that is collected, and fill all these gaps to be able to, based on a very big catalog of data and food and reaction to glucose responses to different kinds of foods, how are we driving the prediction models and the classification of these reactions and foods overall. So I think that it comes back to that process that I was describing earlier of taking the science part of things and all the science research into machine learning modeling and training that might take time, and then into a pipeline of driving these models into the product, connect them to a live product, and starting based on that data set, and also executing and driving the prediction modeling out of that. So for that, obviously, we require different skill set and different kind of engineers as part of the team to be able to achieve that. So it's a 3 steps or maybe 4 steps process from the ideation, from the scientific side of it, from the research side of it, to really have that getting into a product that goes into people's hands and getting the data and executing on it.
Maher, thank you for that. I want to spend some time now talking about what's next for January AI, particularly given the increase in attention that health tech as an industry is getting, whether it be due to the impact of COVID or renewed confidence in just how impactful this technology can be. But focusing specifically on January AI, you're with the business now a few months, you've got a good sense of what's happening on the inside. When you look ahead for the next few years at January AI, what are you most excited about for the company?
Well, that's a great question. What is ahead of us is very important. And we think that our value proposition to the market and to healthcare in general is very big. Why? Because we believe that part of that is wearable are profilating and becoming very popular. And using wearable, we can have continuous data flowing from these users to tell us exactly what things are happening in their body. And I can give you the examples of, again, the CGMs, which are continuous glucose monitors. So understanding how the glucose of everyone is going over time as continuous as possible is becoming a very impactful and very interesting data to collect. The other thing, all the heart rate data, sleep data as an example, is becoming very trendy with things like Aura and such. So collecting all this data on a continuous process or continuous velocity is becoming very important. And that's a trend that is evolving over time. And what we want to do is use all that data to really understand people's lifestyles and help them understand how their body is reacting based on this lifestyle. And obviously the role of this AI here is to help with the disease diagnosis whenever possible, but also maybe help with remote patient monitoring. With that being said, I think in the future of January AI is really to help providers find all the data they need to really be able to diagnose diseases early time, because we collect all this data on a continuous manner, and that's very valuable to providers. On another thing, again, this multi-omic approach is maybe something that is becoming more and more important in health in general. It's very hard to just use one of these omic groups or just one single point of view to be able to assess people's health. So really mixing the data that connect from different areas and using AI to understand and digest and ingest all this data is where the future is going to. And I think January AI is already a step ahead in this process. And again, one of the most important things we have today is that we can predict people's reaction or glucose reaction to certain foods. But where I see the company going is help us really predict a lot of other things. Even if you don't, I think the approach would be more an implicit approach instead of self-driven data approach, where we ask people to come and tell us what they ate as food and what they did, what exercises they're doing. I think using all this data and all the wearable technologies, we would love to be in a place where we can predict these things and know exactly and maybe know what users have been eating and doing, and then help them proactively prevent health issues ahead of time.
Final question from me then. With the growth expected at January AI and the increased demand for the services you're providing, I'm sure there's going to be a need to hire. Focusing on your group specifically, what opportunities are there going to be for data engineers, machine learning engineers, data scientists, or anyone who's interested in data as a whole to come and join January AI?
Absolutely. I mean, we are growing as a company. The need and the market is growing. So we're obviously in the lookup for hiring the great talent out there. The market is becoming very kind of unpredictable. So what January AI is looking for is mainly people who are first aligning with the mission and the values of the company. So working on this new digital health space is very important. And that's a little bit also a topic I want to bring to this discussion, which is talent usually is driven, or engineering talent and data talent are driven by different other domains and specialties. And I think talent is not going to digital health space where it's the most needed. Again, I think the pandemic was a proof that there are different priorities we need to look at. And again, I also shared with you my journey and why I ended up here. I do believe that it's very important to bring our brightest talent into the healthcare space and the digital health space to drive innovation. I think we didn't innovate in this space for a long time, and I think now it's about time. So when it comes to January AI hiring and what we're looking for, machine learning engineering is one of the biggest spaces we're looking for. So hiring engineers that have a machine learning and AI background, capable of building these models, training, optimizing as much as possible. This is a space that we are learning a lot about. So there's a lot of research and papers that might be involved. So people who are driven by creating something new or building something new that was never seen before. And to give you just a heads up, as part of the interviews we do, and since we are a small size company or a startup stage, we are looking for not just great talent from an engineering standpoint, but great talent from a product-driven vision and creativity vision. So as part of our interview process, we always ask the candidates if they can think about a situation or something that is not currently available or doesn't exist, or take something that we all take for granted and try to reinvent it. Why this is important? Because once you join January AI, you will be facing these kind of challenges. It's really thinking about that vision and the product and trying to drive it from a machine learning and AI aspect is very critical. This kind of job is not mainly just building data pipeline and connecting the dots from software standpoint, but also really thinking about how would you train these models, what kind of data you would need, and how would you optimize these models to be in a place to predict accurately and better in the future. So machine learning engineers, machine learning operations is also one of these roles that we have that we're looking for, making sure that we can deploy the machine learning models we're building over time, and these models can evolve and be trained and execute on a production level. Data scientists and data engineers, mainly to drive our data pipelines, the data warehouses. It's very important that all the data and advanced analytics that are happening on our products are collected to drive our business intelligence and to drive our product. So we need to be able to make decisions based on all data that we're collecting. So these are the roles we're looking for, all kinds of engineers as we're going in this growth phase from back end to front end as well.
Thank you so much, Maher. I appreciate you coming on today and talking to us. It was great to learn about your own background. Really love the detail that you went into about January AI as a business, as talking about the mission and the culture. And it's great to hear that there's going to be so much opportunity for people working in this space to come on and join you guys and help you achieve that mission. So we wish you, the team, and everyone at January AI the best of luck in the years ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, JP. It's been a pleasure being on your podcast.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.